Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the full card of fights for UFC 275 Teixeira versus Prochazka. So without further ado, let's get to the first fight on the card that I'll be predicting. So in our first fight, we have in the women's featherweight division, Jocelyn Edwards versus Ramona Pascual. And this is very odd. These women just jump around weight class. Like, they definitely not 45, but they so small. They should be 35 or 25, but I don't know. Why are they fighting at 45? I'm not even going to look too much into it. But anyway, Edwards versus Pascual. How I felt about this one? I just feel like Edwards is better everywhere than Pascual. She's younger, she's stronger, more technical, better for better competition. I feel like Ramona Pascual's best attribute, or her best attributes in this one, is her durability and her cardio and pace. But I don't think it's enough to overcome this lack of skill, lack of strength, lack of technique. And I feel like she might come on a little bit late, but really ain't do much to that. Might be still a third round or still around a little bit in there. I'm like really probably like a third round when Edwards is tired, but not do nothing really to fully capitalize or turn the fight around to her favor. Or like matter of fact, she might not even win the round that Edwards is tired. Edwards probably still muscle around, just throw like get a hip toss, throw on the ground, and then just ride the rest of the round out on her when she's getting aggressive. But ultimately, this one, I feel like Edwards stoppage is a good good option, but I feel like more so decision based on that cardio. It's not like Edwards has been really finishing people too much at this level, but then again, it's not like Pascual is really at this level. But Pascual, like I said, her durability is one of her stronger features at this given moment, and has not really been broken down just yet. So in this fight, I got Jocelyn Edwards via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's strawweight division, Silvana Gomez Juarez versus Liang. And how I see this fight right here between these two is Liang is bigger, younger. She's like 25 versus like a 37-year-old. Juarez, the 37-year-old, is a red flag. 37 years old, don't like it. I feel like she does have the more proven, skill set between the two, striking wise. But then again, who has she beat? Can you say that's really proven when only the people she has beat? I mean, she has dropped or did some decent work against decent opponents on the feet, and now for sure you can see that her striking is pretty crisp, but her grappling is definitely a very weak area in her game. And at 37, you can't really teach the old dog new tricks, or they can't really get too much better. I mean, she could prove me wrong, but from what I see, like, I would bank it's not like 0-2, both losses via submission. Even though she hasn't really got taken down by a whole lot of people yet in the UFC, it really was mostly Lupita Godinez that's affecting her stat ratio. You really got to like stick to these patterns, or at least with these stats, like especially at this level, especially with the limited amount of tape, I guess, in the UFC. And her takedown defense is currently like around 20. Not in fact, I think like even lower than 20%. A very low takedown defense ratio. 2 submission losses. Liang does have decent enough submission game, decent enough wrestling game to be able to put her on the mat. And like Juarez, like I said, her stat doesn't, his story doesn't really show to reflect that. She's gonna do the best to defend that. I feel like it'll be under 2 round submission for Liang. Probably come out a little bit, fill out striking matchup. Gomez Juarez probably getting slightly the better of Liang, but Liang being in touch with something, at least get her attention, and then drag her to the mat, and then work to tap her out. I'm gonna say first round submission. Like continue the pattern. 0-2 first round submissions both times. Now make it 0-3. Again, another first round submission. So in this fight, I got Liang via first round submission. Now to our next fight we have in the bantamweight division, Kang versus Batgirl Danaa. And how I see this one right here is I like Kang here. I'm picking him to win. I think Batgirl Danaa, pretty one-dimensional. I feel like Kang is has pretty decent striking, is getting better. Always was a very strong grappler. Just very underrated for most of his career. Very slept on for most of his career. And his biggest issue has, I don't think it's the biggest issue anything, I feel like. But anywho, when I see his record, or when I look at his history, I think most of his losses have come to other grapplers in just kind of little tight matchups. It's never like he got out there and got washed by anybody. It's not like he's been the guy that go out there and had issues with strikers. And then like Batgirl Danaa's, this super phenomenal striker. But I guess my biggest issue with him is like his last fight. Is that he fought way too lax. And it was a fight he could have easily won against Ronnie Yaya. And when you win fights that you should win, I think Ronnie Yaya will beat Batgirl Danaa. So a lot of people say, oh, Ronnie Yaya ain't this, Ronnie Yaya ain't that. But Ronnie Yaya really ain't losing nobody all that bad in recent years. He really hasn't. I mean, like 5, 6, 7 years ago, he lost to this guy that came on the scene, a one-hit wonder, beat him, and didn't do nothing after. But outside of that, the people he's losing to now have all been studs. It's not like Ronnie Yaya is a bad guy. And Fialho was, doing pretty well, but I think the issues with him, he chose to grapple with Ronnie Yaya. No, he held his own, but he lost the battle because you grappling with a several-time world champion jiu-jitsu guy, and that's like this poor fight IQ, and that's questioned me. I think also he had like at least 2 other fights where he made poor fight IQ decisions. Like I think he struck with Kazushi, what's his name? But I don't know. He struck with this fighter that was a striker. We're getting his name right. Ishihara. He struck with him for no reason. Brandon Davis, I think he struck with him more than he needed. He didn't need to strike with him. I mean, he won both of those fights, but they could have been much easier fights where he could have took them down and submitted them relatively easy and just had a flawless performance. So that's a concern for me. I feel like if he tried to stand with back row Dana too much or play where he don't need to play, that could be a fight where he get knocked out. Or it could be a fight where he fights too lax and doesn't like just go out and be about his business. He could lose a decision to back row Dana, like get dropped, lose a decision, or he had to work from behind and not be able to get that submission. But I'm gonna take like Young Ho Kang here via submission. I feel like he can more than hold his own with back row Dana on the feet. I still think back row Dana is definitely a better fighter. I mean, not better fighter, better striker, and definitely got the power. So that's a problem. But I feel like Young Kang can hold his own. They look to tie him up, drag him to the mat, and then dominate him on the ground. And I'm gonna say second round submission. So in this fight, I got Kyung Ho Kang via second round submission. Now on to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, Jake Matthews versus Andre Fialho. And I see fight right here between Matthews versus Fialho is, I see a good bit of people leaning Matthews. I mean, Fialho's still the favorite. He's still going to be the favorite when the fight does happen. But yeah, I see a good number of people even leaning Matthews here, and I can see why. Because I have seen Fialho have a little bit of grappling interest in some fights, but it's not too many fights, and the fights people mostly looking at have been years back, so I don't think it's strong enough to lean on it just yet, and I'm ultimately going to lean Fialho on this one. I think I'm with Matthews. He hasn't really shown that takedown pressure or success with really too many people. I think the people he have shown, I don't know, have not really been the best case to show them against. He has not done that against a thorough opponent, and he himself had not been looking all that thorough. I see his striking looking more improved over the years now. For a little bit that we are seeing it, but I don't want to say a whole lot. And in the past, his striking had looked very, very sloppy. Just look at the Tony Martin fight that's literally swinging like a schoolyard kid, getting bullied and trying to fight for his life. Striking very sloppy and relying on that youthful chin. But yeah, we're going in with Andre Fialho. I don't know. I feel like I just have not seen that from Matthews against a really credible opponent. I mean, I'm forgetting these names right now, but it is what it is. Like that wannabe Viking guy who has terrible takedown defense. I feel like his takedown defense ratio is probably like 10% at this point. That dude let everybody take him down very easily without issue. Even when he tries to fix it, like he just has poor takedown defense. Then when we look at it, you could say, oh, Andre Fialho did this or didn't fight the best competition or struggle with this. But Jack Matthews, we look at his record. Who has he really beat? No one. And I think the best win he had was the Leech some years back. And that's probably maybe another one of the performances. But you could draw parallels, but I ain't going to get all into parallels. All I'm going to say is I have not really seen Jake Matthews fight a thorough grappling approach, a thorough pressure, striking, grappling approach. And I feel like that's what people are banking on for him to beat Fialho. I have not seen him do it. If he does this fight, kudos to him. And he showed me, but he has not shown me do that against a credible opponent. He has not shown me that. And even in Diego Sanchez, I'm not saying Diego Sanchez is bad. Diego Sanchez is actually a grappler, but still, and maybe that was a fight where you got show the opportunity to maybe look to initiate grappling more with one takedown in that fight. Then yeah, the only fight where he got a significant amount of takedowns was that fight against a guy that literally has zero takedown defense. So yeah, I would need to see much more aggression with his grappling and pressure striking, and also actually thoroughly see him strike more, because we got to see him strike a little bit more in the Sean Brady fight a little bit more. We've seen a little bit of improvements, but it's not like it was the most striking in that fight either. So need to see more, and I just don't see it from Matthews. I feel like this is an Andre Fialho fight. I feel like Matthews going to try to a little bit, try to pressure strike, but once he start feeling power of Fialho, I start seeing him desperately go for these takedowns, maybe score one or two, but probably only one that's able to get some significant control or, a decent bit of control time. Nothing crazy, probably like 20, 30 seconds of control time, maybe 40 seconds of control time. But Fialho be able to get back to his feet. Then from that point on, Fialho just marching him down, tagging him, and just breaking Matthews down over the course of the fight. And I see him put him away late in the second round. So in this fight, I got Andre Fialho via second round TKO. Now to our next fight we have in the lightweight division, Maheshate versus Steve Garcia. And that's this one right here. So Maheshate coming off that performance on the Contender Series where he was getting mopped up early, but was able to survive, rally, and just, beat his opponent. But with only like 23 years old, sub 25 out of the way, like a pretty young dude. So not really a whole much to say. Like a record you really can't find anywhere. And no matter what even you can find or not, obviously fighting very, very, very low competition. But the guy's sub 25. That's the type of competition he should be fighting. And we have not, like, obviously they're not the best competition. They're obviously poor. They took a big step up, was able to flourish to get a win. But yeah, still not in that fight with no grappling. That's that's the biggest factor. Like, where's the grappling at? We have not seen it. So I don't know how to feel about it. All know that Steve Garcia for sure will have a big grappling advantage, big experience advantage. Overall, for much better competition throughout his career. I feel like he at the very least could mix it up and look to drag Maheshate to the ground and show him a different area. Then look to grapple him, tap him out. But that's why I feel like Maheshate gonna have a little bit of moments there, but Steve Garcia gonna stay, use his experience, use his skill, be more well-rounded, stay in the fight, then find an opportunity to take to the mat, and just thoroughly dominate those areas. And I see him tapping out Maheshate in the third round. So in this fight, I got Steve Garcia via third round submission. Now to our next fight we have in the featherweight division, Sugwon Chu. I said Sugwon Chu. Sugwon Choi. I don't know why I struggle to say that name. I don't know. I'm gonna stop. Sugwon Choi versus Joshua Culibao. In this fight, very much where a dog could bite in here with Culibao. I feel like Culibao a little bit faster, but I feel like Sugwon Choi is a little bit bigger. Definitely the more technical. Well, I don't want to say more technical striker. He's the more powerful striker, I would say. Striking skill overall pretty even between the two. Experience definitely favoring Sugwon Choi. Power definitely favors Sugwon Choi. But Sugwon Choi could be a bit predictable. I also think grappling maybe a little bit favors Sugwon Choi. Maybe a little bit. At least relative grappling. But yes, Sugwon Choi has the power. I just see it as a tight matchup, to be honest. And not any way to feel about it. I feel like Culibao could potentially try to just outwork him, or maybe take advantage of Sugwon Choi's, just hunting the knockout. But ultimately, I'm gonna say this is a very, very tight decision right here. But I think Choi's power and heavy shots gonna allow him to win. Probably a mix of a grappling. I think Choi probably gets maybe 3 takedowns. Well, I'm gonna say 3, yes. Probably 3 takedowns to Culibao like 1. Both guys attempted to mix it up. Culibao looking to land more combinations, look to diversify a little bit more. But Choi, landing the heavier shots and probably pressuring more and doing more damage. In a very tight matchup, Sugwon Choi gets his hand raised. So in this fight, I got Sugwon Choi via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in our prelim headliner in the middleweight division, Brendan Allen versus Jacob Malkoun. And how I feel about this one is, yeah, with this one, I see the angle for Malkoun. I definitely think his wrestling and jiu-jitsu combination could be a problem. I think his striking is decent enough. And I feel like there's a good case for him to beat Brendan Allen, but I don't feel like he falls in the category of people that have, or fall in the style of people that have necessarily beat Brendan Allen. Even if they all the way back like Eric Anders and back then, Eric Anders pretty decent takedown defense. Even to today, like still pretty decent enough takedown defense. And then power and a striker. You look at what is the most recent loss we're getting guy in there right now? Chris Curtis, decent enough wrestler defense, then boxing, and Anthony Hernandez striking, and yeah, like pretty much I'm looking at all across the board. it's more so people that kind of fall in striking with decent takedown defense, or at least the fight didn't get to go too much grappling. But against grapplers, he does pretty well. I feel like Malkoun is definitely falling more to grappler category. It is a right now. Brendan Allen is making improvements in his striking. So I definitely think at this given point, he's the better striker than Malkoun. And Malkoun has not really shown any big threat on the feet. More so this a means to the ends type striker right now to get into like a decision type grappling style with his wrestling and positional domination, I guess, to get his decision. And when you look at people he beat, Razak Al-Hassam, I got some decent judo, but not the best wrestling necessarily. And not the best cardio and not the most depth into his fight IQ or fight plan. It's just like go out there, kill or be killed almost type of thing. And then doesn't really have the cardio for 3 rounds against a thorough fighter, especially in that style. Then you look at AJ Dobson, raw, very sloppy on the feet and sloppy in the game a lot of times. And what he did just took him down. So he hasn't really fought necessarily a completely thorough fighter. And Bernal definitely could push for 3 rounds. I feel like he's a longer, more technical striker. And I feel like he's not gonna make it easy. He's not gonna allow this be those easy takedown, easily grappling situations. He's gonna make him have to work for every single day. And I feel like he can exploit him. Like when he's looking for these takedowns, probably threaten with some submissions or look to hit some reversals and like not give him no easy way out. And then on the feet, without really being so concerned about the grappling, and also being the match probably to go for his own takedowns and just being a mix up on the feet. I think this is like a very, very tight matchup. But I think Brendan Allen's experience in fighting pretty high level competition that really Malkoun has not yet reached and been in there, and also not really having that same level of threat on the feet that has necessarily plagued him a little bit in his career. As far as Brendan Allen has plagued Brendan Allen, I feel like this fight with Brendan Allen could win another tight decision where there's a lot of grappling exchanges. But I feel like definitely Brendan Allen will be the one looking for, doing more damage, putting in more volume, being more fleshed out, being more rounded. And that experience is going to be everything in this one. So in this fight, I got Brendan Allen via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, our first fight on the main card. So in our first fight, in the first fight on the main card, we have Jack Della Maddalena versus Ramazan Emeev. And how I feel about this one is, I think Ramazan Emeev has been disappointing for a long time now. It's not like he has been losing out. He's been a consistent guy winning as far as everything. And I feel like his last fight he really won, but has not been going out there and looking thorough. It's not like he's the youngest guy, he makes some little mistakes or he's not looking all impressive, but he'll get better. He'll get better. I just feel like he is who he is at this point. And I feel like his flaws are his flaws. And I feel like his style is his style at this level. Maybe drop it down a level, still look phenomenal, obviously, but at this level, I don't feel like keep going up is going to get any better. I feel like this fight honestly going to probably look similar to the Tony Martin fight. Oh, the Tony Martin fight. Where he's going to look to get it to the mat or try to get to the mat. Might have a little bit of opportunities there, but for the most part, just plotting forward, trying to clinch, trying to go for takedowns, and just really trying to win a decision in the fight and not really have no real effective offense. And then getting tagged up, getting countered up, and just try and go for some desperation takedowns to try to steal the fight or, try to at least win a decision while getting mixed up on the feet. That's what I feel the fight going to be. And probably, I'm saying Maddalena actually knocks him out in this one. But yeah, Emeev don't defend leg kicks, hasn't improved that. Striking pretty rudimentary, just walking forward. That's all there is. No effective, no real danger or threat behind the striking at this level. Plotting forward, stiff square, flat-footed, and looking to hold you against the cage or take you to the mat and really do nothing there. Looking to wall and stall or lay and pray. And really at this point, not even really getting most takedowns, really just wall and stall. I feel like, again, that's going to just walk right to the counters of Maddalena, just walking there, plotting right and forward. And Maddalena's going to be walking him to the counter. Walking the counters, tagging him up, probably sending him back a little bit of times, and then shooting desperation shots. Ultimately, I feel like it's going to be just a breakdown effect. Ramazan Emeev really not having any actual direction with his with his game plan or with his style, no actual direction. And Maddalena's going to put him, pull him his direction and take advantage of that, exploit him, and start to break him down. I'm gonna say put him away late. Well, I'm gonna say early third round stoppage. Wear him down, like really have him out of there second round, but make it to the third round and get put away early in that third round. So in this fight, I got Jack Della Maddalena via third round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's strawweight division, Weili Zhang versus Joanna Jedrzejczyk 2. So these two fought before. It was for the title. Very close fight. Probably the best women's MMA fight of all time. And probably really like top 20 MMA fight all time, to be honest. Like really top 20. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. By the way, it was that good. So one of the better fights in MMA history, regardless, whether it's women's or men's or whatever you want to call it. One of the best MMA fights of all time. So they're rematching again. I don't know what I'm leaning Zhang. Like I picked Joanna the first time, but Zhang ultimately won. I don't feel like she was the more technical fighter out there, but she did more damage. Tight matchup. I feel like striking wise, point wise, Joanna should have won, in my opinion. I feel like I picked her to win. I feel like she should have won, but damage was very much a big factor. But all that being said, tight matchup then, semi-tight matchup now. Zhang has been active, Joanna has not. And I don't really know how to feel about Joanna. Like, what had she been doing? I feel like you could like her more if she was the active one and Zhang wasn't. Or if Zhang was active and taking a lot of damage. But Zhang hasn't really took much damage. Like, she did get knocked out by a Rose by a hit. Like, hit, but it wasn't a whole lot of damage done after. And then the second Rose fight was really a point fight almost. So, not a whole lot, really no damage done in that fight. So, and she did show some improvements in that fight. But, yeah, I see similar thing. I feel like Joanna's gonna be more tactical on his feet, but not really doing that damage. She did land that head kick in the first round. Maybe if Zhang hasn't fixed that issue in her game, maybe Joanna could touch her with a head kick. She got touched with a head kick by Joanna in the first fight. They almost had her, was lucky with that end of the round. She got caught with a head kick by Rose in that first fight, got put out. So maybe that's something Joanna could work on and look to land. But I feel like Weili Zhang has mostly fixed that up in her game, hopefully. But I see a similar thing. Joanna with the volume and technique, but Zhang is being the more physical presence, landing the heavier shots, dealing the more telling damage. And I also feel like with the improvements of her wrestling and grappling and continued improvement, I feel like something she can mix in there, score a couple takedowns on Joanna. And something like she did that in the first fight. She took out a couple takedowns on Joanna. She didn't really do much with them, but she got those takedowns. So close matchup, you're doing more damage, you're getting the takedowns. And I see again going to decision, close fight, but Weili Zhang's power shots and her takedowns, and the more telling damage is going to lead her to get her hands raised yet again. And probably another exciting fight, probably very similar to the first fight. So in this fight, I got Weili Zhang via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in our co-main event in the women's flyweight division for the undisputed flyweight title, Valentina Shevchenko versus Taila Santos. And how I see one right here is I think Taila Santos is a solid talent. But I just think not obviously, but I just think that this is a little bit too soon for her, in my opinion, or at least from what I've seen. I'm not saying she's too young. I'm saying her skills still need rounding out for me, unless she just made some significant improvements in the time in this training camp, or I don't know, something this spark. Like she had a whole training arc that we did not see, like this anime training arc, and then she made close those gaps. But I would like more speed from her. I would like more confidence with her striking. I would like less wind up. I feel like she got some power, but a lot of her power shots are very windy, very longer than they need to be, like not as short and crispy as they need to be. I definitely like her power. I definitely like her strength. Power in hands. I like her strength. I like the fact that she's well-rounded. But Valentina Shevchenko is much faster, much sharper, much crisper, much shorter with her strikes, and much surer with her strike, much more accurate. And I just like Taila Santos. They'll come out there and look at the landing shots, but like I said, she's going to be too wide with them, and Valentina's going to just be the timer, be able to catch her little spinning back kicks, catch her with kicks, put up the volume on her. And I also feel like this is a very big step up. Obviously with this division, there are some decent enough women in this division, but when you go from anyone in this weight class to Shevchenko, it's a huge, huge big gap. I don't think it's anyone that's really on her level. I think Taila Santos will be game, and she does have the power to cause problems. She does have the well-rounded skill set to cause problems. I just think she's not necessarily as sharp. A lot of her power shots are very looping or very, like I said, more wind up than they need to be. And Shevchenko will definitely catch them on that. And with her probably pound for pound the quickest woman in MMA right now, especially on reactions, she'll see those come and be able to counter them effectively every single time. And maybe even be able to score takedowns off them. Land her shots, land her combinations, have Taila Santos to start to freeze her up just for the fact that every single time she starts to look to land with any bit of power or look to set up anything, Shevchenko already 2 steps ahead of her and just outworking her and beating her to a decision. So in this one, I got Valentina Shevchenko via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in our main event in the light heavyweight division for the undisputed light heavyweight title, Glover Teixeira versus Yuri Prochazka. And how I see this one right here is I'm leaning with the younger fighter. I'm leaning with Yuri Prochazka, and largely because of age. I feel like age is a factor. I feel like retirement talks on Glover's side is a factor. Anytime you start talking about retirement, like non-canically or canically, superstitiously, the odds shift to plus 5,000 because one fighter is thinking about retirement. That they're not physically. I mean, they obviously physically there. They will hope that they're physically there, and they would tell you they're physically there. But anytime you're talking about the future, you're looking ahead, and you're looking, to taking a nap and sitting down, getting fat, and coaching, and just counting your money and investing and all that stuff, and start thinking about all these retirement talks and just, writing it into your story. Your head's not fully in a fight versus this young guy, like whose story's still not fully written, and he's in his prime, getting better, getting stronger, hungrier. It's like you pretty much like, for the most part, writing yourself off to an extent. I know Glover would attest to that. I mean, not attest that, he would counter that and say like, nah, I'm fully in this, I'm fully hungry, and I'm fully ready to beat this dude. But in most of these cases, these fighters flop when they do that. Like, it don't work out for them. And I don't know the exact stat number, but I know it's not in their favor. Like, just winning the title at this age was a miracle. I'm not saying it was a miracle. Like, his skills were qualified. He was the better man. But just winning this belt at that age is already a huge accomplishment, a huge overcoming adversity and odds. And now defending it is crazy. It seems that winning it was so hard and so rare at that age. To defend it is 10 times harder. So imagine that. But yes, it's gonna be a hard fight. Or at least hard, statistically, or hard historics against Glover. When like talking about retirement, you're up there in age, you're in there with a young, hungry fighter. You gotta lean against. Well, for me, I feel like I gotta lean against him here. I want Glover to win. I've been picking against Yuri every single fight, not out of haterade, but I see weaknesses in his game. Don't defend leg kicks, defensively negligent, got grappling holes. And I feel like Glover Sherry's probably somebody that can exploit just about all of them. I don't want to see Glover do too many leg kicks, but he mixed that in there. He'd really be a huge problem for Jerry, like stylistically. But anyway, leaning Jerry off youth, like so. He's younger, taller, hungrier, from what I'm seeing. And with Glover, like I said, got experience, got the skills, the better fighter overall, but age is definitely a big factor in hunger and retirement talks. So I just feel like it's gonna be a case where I feel like Glover will actually make it pretty interesting, but I feel like Jerry will make it interesting as well. Like, he'll be in bad positions, but be able to survive off limited technique in those areas and pure heart and grit. Be able to survive. I see him getting rocked at points in this fight. I see him getting put in bad positions, but able to, I guess, just hold on, get saved by the bell through like the first 2 rounds. Like, he'll have his moments in both of the rounds, but I feel like Glover probably won't win both of those rounds. In the third round, I feel like he is able to fully land a good flush shot on Glover, turn the momentum, and then put Glover away in that third round. So in this fight, I got Yuri Prochazka via third round TKO. And that concludes my fight predictions for the full card of fights for UFC 275, Teixeira versus Prochazka. And as always, thanks for watching.